Welcome. We are broadcasting live from the mothership. You are tuned in and listening to Starseed Energy Radio with your host Jonah Bolt. Starseed Energy Radio, where you can always tune in to hear the colors and see the music. Starseed Energy Radio goes live in 3, 2, 1.
All right, what's up, Spaceship Earth? Thanks for tuning in. You are now receiving a live transmission from Starseed Radio, where you can always tune in to hear the colors and see the music. I'm your host, Jonah Bolt, the Octorian Starseed, and today is Wednesday, October 7th, 2015. I hope everyone is having an excellent week out there. It is Hump Day Wednesday. A shout out to me, Dad, flying in today from the islands. It's going to be a fun day for us. Got lots of news to cover today, and we have 3 amazing guests on the show for you today. We have Brian Matthew Durnick doing the Daily Download. We have our Portal to Ascension segment, and then we have Gabriel Roberts coming on. He's got an awesome new book out, also a writer for disinfo.com, and that's going to be a fun interview as well, so stay tuned for that. We're going to get started with the show, but first, as always, check out StarSeedRadio.com for the latest news and updates. We have Twitter feeds, we have live space weather and earth weather trackers, volcanoes, earthquakes. Stay informed, lots of information. We're always putting up articles. We have 3 different feeds on there of information. And, of course, check out StarSeedTechnologies.com if you want a free piece of Elite Shungite. We're still sending out Shungite. Or if you want any free energy information, we have 15 PDF files to send you. Fill out the form on starseedtechnologies.com, and we'll get that information to you. We want to get this information in your hands. Get this out to your family and friends. Free energy is what the government does not want us getting out to the people. So please call us at toll-free 888-400-2328. Or check out starseedtechnologies.com. We're also going to be talking about a new product that we're bringing out. It is a very unique product. I'm going to go into a little bit more throughout the week. But for right now, you can check out starseedmoney.com and contact us through that. It's a whole new system that is being set up worldwide, already in 124 countries. It's very unbelievably amazing what's going on. With that, we're going to jump into the quote of the day, and it is of your day, our day, and it goes like this. When told the reason for daylight savings time, the old Indians said, only the government would believe that you could cut a foot off the top of a blanket, sew it to the bottom, and have a longer blanket. That famous Native American Indian chief is unknown, but what he said makes sense. I don't understand daylight savings time myself. It doesn't make sense, and it obviously doesn't make sense to the Native Americans around the world. So thank you, Mr. Anonymous Indian Chief, for your wise quote there, which is so true. With that, we're going to get started with the Daily Download with Ryan Matthew Durnick. Good morning, Ryan. How are you today?
Good morning, Jonah. How you doing?
Doing good. Lots of news to cover. We didn't get to do a show yesterday, and you and everyone else sort of disbanded, and we had other things to do, as in life. Remember, we're doing this radio show to put out information, to be of service, to help people. We all have our 9-to-5 jobs out there, Ryan, including myself, and some of our guests. So, we can't do the radio show every day, although we try. Sometimes life and its issues take precedence. So we apologize for not having the show yesterday with the news, but let's get started. Ryan, what is happening around the world with Mother Gaia, space weather, and the headlines today, please?
Well, solar activity right now is showing no sunspots actively flaring, and the sun's X-ray output is flatlined. This basically is transferring and into the fact that there's no more than 1% chance of a solar flare. So there should be no really a geoaffective storm hitting the planet over the next 24 to 48 hours. And now into earthquake activity. The only noteworthy earthquakes was a 4.7 magnitude earthquake 34 kilometers southwest of Coquimbo, Chile, a 4.9 magnitude earthquake 39 kilometers southeast of Tarata, Peru, a 5.0 magnitude earthquake 111 miles south of the Raoul Islands near New Zealand, a 4.9 magnitude earthquake near the Central East Pacific Rise, a 4.8 magnitude earthquake 43 kilometers southwest of Oval, Chile, a 5.4 magnitude earthquake 7 kilometers south of Finike, Turkey, and a 4.7 magnitude earthquake 43 kilometers southeast of Saritash, Kyrgyzstan. On to other seismic activity. There was a pretty strong earthquake that shook the Yavapai and Coconino counties late Sunday night. An event occurred about 10:57 p.m., and that was in the Arizona area, according to Geological Survey in Tucson. And it's quite close to the Oak Creek Fault Zone, and this is down the east normal fault within 700 feet of vertical displacement. So this fault has been active in the past 2 million years, according to geologist records going back, and from what they've noted in studying the area. And more than 1,000 people had reported the earthquake to the U.S. Geological Survey that they felt the earthquake. So this area has seen larger earthquakes historically, and not in quite some time, but there was a larger earthquake. It was about a while ago, actually. In 1906 and 1912, they had a 6.0 magnitude earthquake that occurred near this area near Flagstaff. The most recent earthquake that was a 5.1 magnitude earthquake occurred in 2000.
Ryan, you there? You with us? Sometimes that happens. We lose signal. Ryan, you still there?
Hey.
Oh, there we go.
There, I'm back.
Okay.
I'm back in black. All right. So on to other global news. Residents of 1,000 more homes were urged to flee South Carolina from the floods that are ongoing there. And so the evacuations are still going, even though it's been sunny since Wednesday. It was earlier today. It's been sunny. There's no more rain. The floodwaters have already done their damage. 400 tons of rocks have been dumped into the reinforced dams that are in and around South Carolina, and efforts have been underway since Monday to draw down the lake behind the dam. The county officials in Richland County urged residents around Beaver Dam and Pebble Creek to immediately seek shelter and move to higher ground. And now 15 deaths have been blamed on this deluge that has occurred.
Yeah, I've been watching this. This is kind of crazy. The flooding that's happening.
It's pretty impressive. And honestly, once it's all said and done, there's going to be well over $1 billion in damage. I'm sure that's just right now a conservative economic analyzation of the area and what's going on with that. And now on to geopolitical news. Russia's fired missiles from warships into Syria amid new ground offensive as they defend Assad's regime, President Bashar Assad's regime, and are also fighting against ISIS as well. So it's a little sordid. So if some people look at it from the outside looking in, like, well, why are they doing that? They're defending. Well, the other aspect of this is that Russia's sold them about $4.7 billion in armaments for over the last 4 to 5 years, or 5 to 7 years. I'm sorry. And Russia's defense minister Sergei Shoigu told President Vladimir Putin in televised remarks that 4 warships carried out 26 missile strikes from the Caspian Sea, destroying 11 targets more than 900 miles away. Russia's TASS news agency reported this, and he said no civilian facilities were hit. So this is
that's like Hillary Clinton saying we went into Libya and we did 660,000 bombing runs over a year. We didn't kill any civilians. So
exactly.
Okay.
No, exactly. They walk a fine line. U.S. policy has been aimed at attacking the Islamic State and searching for a political solution to remove Assad, since his regime has fueled a civil war more than 4 years. And as we've talked about previously, this is really the reason right now the superpowers are fighting over this area. The United States has caused a lot of insurrection, if you will, a lot of fundamentalist radicalization of
let's look at the whole picture, Ryan. We went in there, we trained the rebel fighters to fight against Assad.
It's true.
We funded them with money, we funded them with guns and everything. Then they automatically all of a sudden turned into this ISIS group. Then they turned around, they went to Iraq, they're going into other countries, they're into Syria, and now Russia's fighting ISIS, the same people we trained and gave money and arms to. So really, It looks like a little U.S.-Russia battle going on with Assad stuck in the middle.
Yeah, Assad is stuck in the middle, and the Defense Secretary Ashton Carter on Wednesday said the U.S.-led coalition, which is conducting its own bombing campaign, has not agreed to cooperate with Russia in the fight against the Islamic State and had no collaboration is possible as long as Moscow continues to strike other targets, according to Associated Press reports. So this is just a FUBAR situation that's only getting worse in the area.
FUBAR,
And,
what a great word. I haven't heard that word forever.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's an acronym. I'm not going to say it on the air, but yeah, what it really means. And then to add insult to injury, the leader of the American forces in Afghanistan, General John F. Campbell, said on Tuesday that an airstrike on a hospital in Kunduz, Afghanistan, sadly killed 22 people, was the result of a U.S. decision. So again, the American commander in Afghanistan now believes the United States troops probably did not follow their own rules in calling in the airstrike that decimated a Doctors Without Borders hospital. And now today, the Doctors Without Borders are calling for an independent probe to see why this went down the way it did. Why
and they've also pulled out, too. They've pulled out.
They've totally pulled out there, yes.
So you have the only organization, not the only, but one of the only few that's actually in war zones helping people. And the U.S. once again bombs a wrong target, and it's a hospital. I mean, this is which
actually, if you look under the Geneva Convention, that is a war crime. So to bomb a hospital.
Let's not even go into that. But what else is going on around the world?
Let's not even go there. Well, now into Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is still escalating, and now, as you know, that there's been a chilling effect that's gone on. But the judges ruled that the anti-Planned Parenthood activists can give Congress undercover videos, even though there was a court order that remains in place barring those activists from releasing the materials publicly. They still can release them to Congress, showing how Planned Parenthood are selling unborn fetuses, whole or parts of their fetuses, to be basically harvested by biotech companies to make a profit off of death. So
a horrible story. I don't even like talking about this story, but unfortunately, if you don't talk about it, people really don't know the crazy, disgusting madness that is happening by some really dark forces around the planet. People really have to open up their minds when they hear about stories like this and don't just blow it off as like, oh, that's just so sickening. It's like, oh, like they're sacrificing kids, eating them and drinking their blood. It's like, yeah, man, there's people doing that shit. Like, wake up. Like, this is real. We're not making this stuff up. Believe me, we don't even want to talk about this stuff on airwaves, man, but it's real. And look at the FBI directors and CIA directors that have all come forward talking about how the elite take kids from Boys Town and sacrifice them, how they take kids and like drink their blood. You're talking about credible people that have come forward. And not that this is a story we want to cover, but people, if we don't come together and create and co-create the new world we want to see, then people like this and acts like this are going to continue. We have to stand together. We have to create this new reality. We have to put in the new system. Otherwise, this crap is going to continue. Sorry, Ryan. I went off a little tangent right there.
Hey.
Got to keep it real because, I hate hearing about this stuff. And it's just, it's the real stuff. It's really what's happening. And people just have to, open up their minds and
definitely
awareness, man. I'm sorry.
No worries. The EU targets people now, smugglers on the Mediterranean, and the European Union is basically launching a new operation Wednesday to intercept people, smugglers on the Mediterranean Sea in an effort to stop the trafficking and prevent more deaths that have occurred on the ongoing migrant and refugee crisis. So this is just, again, the people that are making money off of people want to find a better life. That every person around the world is always striving to find a better way of life. But at the end of the day, there are also people that are predatory and exploitive in any form or fashion, whether they're again bombing a school or bombing a hospital accidentally, that they said they bomb accidentally, or whether it's not war, it's whether it's just they're trying to make a profit of moving human beings to make money. It doesn't only happen over in Europe. It's not happening in the Mediterranean Sea. There's smugglers going back and forth in Mexico right now. Gangs do it on the side and smuggle people into the United States from Central America. So this is not just a specific to the European Union and the Mediterranean. This is a global thing. Human trafficking isn't some new thing. It's been going on for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years. since civilizations have really been at the level that they are. It's just really sad that you see these kind of things occurring. And finally, before I get to the Game of Thrones individual of the day,
Oh boy,
Monsanto's is slashing 2,600 jobs, buying back shares as sales fall.
All right, round of applause.
Right. I'm so happy. The shares are
excellent.
falling.
Good.
That's excellent. I wonder why they're falling. Oh, because people found out that they had a public release, and the EPA in California said, hey, it causes cancer, Roundup. No, who would have thought Roundup causes cancer? And they're still spraying the stuff everywhere. Jonah, we live down in Florida.
That's what all the farmers use. The farmers buy the dirty fracking water and the dirty other water from fracking companies because it's $33 per meter versus $100 and something per meter if you buy it from the city water. So we know for a fact that these farmers are using frack water, Roundup water. They're using chemicals to spray on it. I mean, it's laced with chemicals. I mean, it's horrible what's going on, how the farmers have really had to deal with this stuff. They're being forced to deal with it. The farmers, most of them, they don't want to use this stuff. They don't want to use Roundup if it's causing cancer and they know it's killing people, but they've been lied to. So
exactly.
This is good news that they're laying people off. Now, I'm not happy that people are losing their jobs, but I am happy it's Monsanto that's minimizing their staff because, as we know, Monsanto is not one of our favorite companies. But with that, let's jump into our Game of Thrones person of the day. Ryan, who do you got?
Well, big U.S. firms holding $2.1 trillion overseas to avoid taxes. And who's at the top of this list? Oh, none other than almost everyone we know has an Apple iPhone.
Yes.
Tim Cook, Apple CEO. And let's not forget, in China, where they manufacture these phones, this is old news, but a lot of listeners may not know this still. There are suicide nets. There are suicide nets around the base of these Apple factories in China because they work them to the bone. Why? Because they don't have real labor laws in those countries like we have over the United States. And still in the United States, people are exploited. And there's still things going on here that you'd be like, I can't believe under our Constitution things like that are going on. So Tim Cook, you are the Game of Thrones.
Tim Cook, official Game of Thrones person of the day.
Yes.
Tim Cook, awesome. All right. Thank you, Ryan, from bellwetherpost.com. Everyone check out Ryan's articles. He's always posting up new information. Again, stay informed. We just want to get this information out there so you really know what's going on in your world. And since we're talking about Apple and this guy, Tim Cook, I just want to say check out Starseed Radio. We have our new Starseed Radio channel on iTunes. So search Starseed Radio, download us, support us, like us. We appreciate that. Ryan, thank you so much for your service and your work. We'll talk to you tomorrow, brother.
Thank you, Johnny. Have a great day.
All right. And with that, we're going to bring on Neil Guar. Neil is from Portal to Ascension. He is not only a star brother, but he is a speaker of the truth. And he is on his Wednesday segment called Portal to Ascension, which Portal to Ascension is an online amazing platform that's bringing the world's best teachers, scientists, speakers, authors, writers, star seeds, intergalactic people, you name it. Portal to Ascension is bringing it. With that, Star Brother Neil, how are you today?
Good, brother. How are you?
Doing awesome. So we'll go ahead and get started with your segment, and I know you have a word for us of the day. What is it, brother?
Yeah. Today's word is Eisenhower.
Eisenhower. Love it.
Yes, sir. So I don't know if anybody out there has heard, but Laura Eisenhower is actually in the hospital right now, so I'm actually dedicating my segment to her. She got admitted a couple of days ago. Yep, she has a blood clot in her lungs. And been checking on Facebook, checking out statuses. It doesn't seem like she was too well yesterday. I think she's a little better today. But I wanted to take a moment to do a visualization, if that's okay, to kind of just see that blood clot liquefy and just run through her body so that she can come out empowered and heal from it.
Yes, thank you.
And Laura Eisenhower, in case anybody who doesn't know who she is a way shower, a light worker, a whistleblower. She is like setting the foundation and laying the groundwork for the ascension process, embodying the divine feminine. And Jonah does a lot of work with her. We do a lot of work with her, and she is really close to both of our hearts. So, so everybody can just take a moment and just take a deep breath in, and let's just take a few seconds to breathe into this. Imagine her. Imagine Laura Eisenhower breathing just like we are. Imagine the blood clot in her lungs slowly liquefying, going back into her system, flushing out, leaving her body, leaving her healed and stronger than she was before. Just throughout today and throughout the weekend, just whenever you guys, if it pops into your head, think of Laura and just send her love and light and just send her that healing vibration.
Thank you, brother. Yes, everyone out there, you know the work Laura's doing is amazing. She's a speaker of the truth, just like Gabriel on the show, Ryan, you, me, brother, all of us, man. So that's one of our team members. So just put that into perspective. And now I know you're going to do a little spoken word. You're going to slow it down a little bit for the listeners out there. This is slam poetry, but we've asked Neil to slow it down a little bit so you can understand and hear the knowledge that my star brother is about to lay down. Thank you, brother.
Thank you. So this one's called Road to Zion. In this world of calamity, with organized piety making fools drop to their knees, we be the free. People see right in front. Time for the peripheral, narrow-minded ignorance. Be the bigger man and see the benevolence. The interdimensional energy of love holds my truth above other dimensions. I'm the anti-level vacuum being sucked down with a pull of a black hole, recycled in this universe that shows acceptance. Knows acceptance by accepting the predicament that I am in. With all the government makes me think I do is all I do is a sin. Straight fear-mongering. So I write with a pen to show a beginning to an end. Just know we chose to be here. Tear perceptions of fear. Remember, Jah will be waiting there. It's time to believe in yourself, to forget monetary wealth, to concentrate on your health. I felt lost, souls pelt, body bloody, judgment by those who say they love me. But what does love mean within these lower frequencies of emotions, causing mental erosion? I'm frozen in a rapidly moving time, with holes in the heavens, flow of energy from realms of divine essence. These beings think that we're under the guide to receive lessons of ascension? No, the gods will show. The biblical portrayal of Jesus in pagan rituals, the deities who we worship and bow, ask for forgiveness, and how can we reach the kingdom of heaven away from ourselves, looking externally for personified God, indemnified soul of the old ancestry of the duality of friends and foes? Know this, the energy level will persist. The new world order doesn't matter one bit. No one world without singularity. Physical perceptions manifest in realms of spirituality. No order, pure anarchy to set all of humanity in 13 different third-dimensional planetary systems free. So follow me, and we'll transcend and ascend to the fourth density.
Woo! Awesome, Star Brother. Thank you, man. Thank you for your work,
Thank you.
Your service, and just for everything you're doing to bring truth to the planet, brother. Thank you so much. And give us a little update on some upcoming webinars. We got the Earth webinar. Check out synergyoneness.com. What else you got on the plate?
Yep. So we got Synergy Oneness, the Earth Element, Sacred Geometry. Laura Eisenhower will be speaking at that on the 25th. We had a workshop with Laura Eisenhower this Saturday, but we're going to postpone it so she can have some time to heal. Then we have the Starseed Summit coming on 11/21, where Jonah, you're going to be presenting. We have you're going to be emceeing. We have Michael Tellinger.
Woo!
Hell yeah! Michael Tellinger, Laura Eisenhower, Dr. Green, Julie Cannon, who is Dolores Cannon's daughter. So Dolores Cannon passed a year ago. We did the last event with her, so she's picking up the baton, and it's just like really synchronistic that the number 2 of the same event she's going to be at a year later. You know, so I'm excited for that one.
Excellent, and check out portal to
check out our website. You got it, and also hit us up on Instagram if you guys can. Portal_2_ascension.
That's what's up. Awesome. Neil, thank you so much. Portal to Ascension segment. Everyone check him out. Neil, every Wednesday here on Starseed Radio at noontime for some spoken word and truth. Neil, Star Brother,
thank you, brother,
again for your service. We'll talk to you soon. With that, we're going to bring on, love you too, brother. We're going to bring on our next guest of the show, Mr. Gabriel D. Roberts. He is not just a writer and a speaker of the truth, but he's also an author of a new book called The Hermit. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, what that means. And also we're going to talk a little bit about just in general the importance of someone like Gabriel's work in this world right now during these times where knowledge and information is so utmost importance to get to people around the world. And with that, Gabriel D. Roberts, thank you for coming on the show. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Jonah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, absolutely. And I just want to give people a little background, Gabriel. You're not just a writer. You're a theological scholar, a researcher, public speaker. You specialize in the nature of perception, belief in the power structures that dominate modern life. You're an author of 4 books, and you just released The Hermit, which we're going to talk about today in the show, Enlightenment From The Gutter, in which you chart his harrowing personal course through homelessness, heartbreak, and post-dogmatic spiritual revolution. You also write for Vice Magazine, disinfo.com, and realitysandwich.com and other publications. And you're continuing your research at the University of Washington in your hometown of Tacoma, Washington. So that's an awesome, awesome path you are walking, brother. So thank you so much for taking the time and coming on the show. And if you would, give us a little just quick background, Gabriel. How did you get to the point of being a truth speaker? How did you get to the point where you wanted to write articles about truth and write books and get out there? Did you have like a sudden awakening, or was this something you were just doing your whole life and just led into, doing the truth speaking that you are today?
Well, I think that one of the best ways I can characterize it is just to say that I've always been the person that I am, although the iterations of what that looks like have been very different. When I first started out, I grew up as an evangelical Christian, and along the lines of Pentecostal Christianity, which has a very mystic sensibility to it. But at around the age of 27, I stepped away from Christianity for a number of reasons, and I cataloged that in my book, Born Again to Rebirth. After that, though,
Okay, hang on right there, Gabriel. We got a commercial break coming in. It's an automatic one, so we can't stop it, so just hang on right there. We're joined by Gabriel D. Roberts, and you're listening to Starseed Radio. We'll be right back after this message.
Agent for Truth with Joe Bannister. Saturday on Truth Frequency Radio.
Hello, citizens of America. We are anonymous, and we have been observing as your country's leaders have lied to you and placed your freedom and your constitutional rights into jeopardy. We are very disappointed about this, and we have decided to take steps against what you are facing. The world is watching America. We are also watching. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.
That's right. Expect us. Expect us to bring that truth. We're joined by Gabriel D. Roberts, talking about his new book, A Speaker of the Truth Since an Early Age. He's a writer for Vice Magazine, disinfo.com, realitysandwich.com, and other publications. He has his new book he just released, The Hermit, Enlightenment From The Gutter. Now, before we went to commercial break, Gabriel, I know we were mid-sentence, so I didn't want to just cut you off. So if you would like, please continue where you left off.
So basically, I think I've always been the same kind of person. It's just that the story has changed, and as I've grown and learned and gone through, a series of growth spurts where, things are torn apart and things are put back together. I've just come to newer and greater understandings of kind of what spirituality means and how that relates to how I deal with the rest of the world and things like that. And that's definitely what the Hermit is about as well. Kind of the realization that not everything that we do in order to grow spiritually and in our character is going to come easily. A lot of it requires something of us. It's not all sunshine and roses, so to speak. And so I think that's kind of where I've gotten to at this point. I became a minister and I moved on, and I thought, well, maybe I'm not a person to kind of share what it is that I know. But I've realized that the mission has been the same all the way through, and that cataloging that growth is one of the ways in which I've been able to relay this to other people so that they won't necessarily have to go through the same sort of tumultuous change that I have.
Now, when you talk about this Gabriel, you're talking about your personal journey, your personal experience, which to me, what I've learned from my own experiences through life is that we go through these experiences so that we can relate to people, which in relating to people, we can then transfer information to people because people resonate with that information if they know and understand that you know what you're talking about. Like I've been homeless myself. I've lived in the gutter. I've been there. And when I talk to the homeless people and I've talked to homeless or whatever, they can resonate that in my voice. And I've been in this position. I've been there. And I think and I feel that's why I have experienced so many different experiences like yourself, so that I can relay information to people and they're going to listen because they know that I've been there. And I'm not up on the podium like Obama saying, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I've been here, or or anyone like that. You've really walked the walk. And if you would, go into a little bit about the book, Gabriel. Give us a synopsis, give us a summary, if you would, please, on this journey that you've been on and how this book came to manifest.
All right. Well, when I first started out, there's a lot of different ways I could go about this, but I'll just say people might be interested in the fact that the title says Enlightenment from the Gutter. And I'm not just talking about having gone through homelessness. I'm talking about, I had a great conversation with a professor and writer, Daniele Bolelli. And he and I had this conversation where we talked about, because when I first started this, I thought that I was just going to go spend like 40 days in the wilderness and come back as some sort of like sage who has learned all these things and stripped away, the outside world, so to speak, and all of the distractions that come with that. And when I returned, I felt different, but pretty much the same. At least to the rest of the world, I looked like the same exact person that left. And Daniele and I were talking about it, and he was like, well, what good is enlightenment if it doesn't work in the real world? We need something that works in the real world, exactly where people are. And this is why I'm completely frank in this book, and I'm brutally honest about the situations that I go through, about my own faults, about all of these things. What I'm trying to say is that we often think about the term enlightenment, and it's used in such a way that it says, at some distant point in the future, I will turn into a golden ball of light and disappear from the world or something like that. There's almost a sense of escapism or elitism that comes with it. And what I argue by the telling of my own story is that enlightenment is not a moment in time, but it's rather an unfolding. It is where we come closer and closer to a deeper understanding of our purpose in life, and through our own strengths and weaknesses and overcoming our own personal flaws and things like that, we're capable of getting closer to that. So I'm talking about real world where people are sitting right now, the things that they're going through right now, turning, there's this alchemical phrase, the poison is a gift. And that's really what this book is about. There was a lot of poison in my life when I at the beginning of this book, failed relationships, failed job opportunities, and distance, and a lot of things that were broken. And in that, it's like there's a poison, and I'm alchemically turning the poison of those moments into a gift, turning those into lessons, taking the bad things and turning them into something good, something useful, and a story that compels people to look at their own life and see what it is that they really desire and what they want about the improvement of their character that they've been holding off on, what it is also about true spirituality. I have full-on visionary moments that I catalog in this book, and during those moments, some of the shit that you hear is kind of crazy. And there's as I'm sure you know, there are moments in your life where when you make a transition from being more concerned about your credit score than you are about your own soul, you're going to have those moments where you're asking yourself, well, do I really do I really step out into chaos? Do I really step out into something like this? And I like to quote Terence McKenna, where he talks about this moment, and he says, this is the alchemical trick, that you leap into the void and you find out it's a feather bed. And although that's not necessarily always quite true, we make it through. I mean, you and I are sitting here talking now, and having gone through the experiences we did, we understand that even if we were hungry, even if we were hurt, even if some bad things happened to us, we're here and we're strong. And that's really the tale I'm telling here, is that all of these things, especially when we know what our heart is telling us to do, when we follow our heart and follow through, even if it's a bit scary, that's when we're going to start finding the real miracles. That's when we're going to start finding the real spirituality, the real touch from the divine, because everyone promises us that, but nobody delivers. We can see that in religion. We can see that in politics. We can see that in every aspect of our life. People promising us things, a quick fix version of the goods. And when you know the real from the fake, it comes because of experience. It's taking knowledge on and moving it into something that's actionable.
Now, when you talk about the different just depths of reality that you talk about when you just mentioned to break away from into the chaos, the depths of the chaos, I believe, is what is our greatest teacher to internalize that chaos and put out that light. Meaning, it's the yin and the yang. You can't put out all the light and just speak all that truth if you haven't experienced all that hurt and darkness and pain. I mean, that's how I've internalized it myself. So when you just said that, it is stepping away from that credit score and stepping into that chaos, like you said. It's working that 9-to-5 job that you feel like killing yourself over every day when you're going to work and you're ready to jump out of your car and kill someone in road rage, but you can't step out of that job because of that fearful of stepping into the unknown. That's what you and I and many of our guests have done, is step into that chaos, because in that chaos you have the disorder or order of your spiritual growth, of your spiritual path. And that's how I am internalizing what you're saying into myself, is that's exactly what we're saying. If you're working that job 9 to 5 and you feel like you want to jump out of the window, then get out of that job.
Change the situation, yeah.
Change it. The universe is going to support you. I mean, science, quantum physics, quantum mechanics proves that theory now. You know this, Gabriel. It's like, so what we're telling people is, listen, I'll hold your hand, Gabriel will hold your hand, the universe is going to hold your hand, but you have to make that decision to just step out of that. Screw your credit score. Forget about that. If you're not happy and internally you feel miserable and let it up, well, then you have to change. You have to change that environment. And you've done it many, many times, and I'm sure you talk about the different stories in your book. Can you go into a couple examples, Gabriel, of some really, deep, dark times that you've gone through, and then the challenges, and then pulling yourself out of it? Are there any particular little, cuts from the book you can give us to tease us a little of some of the stories you share?
Yeah, I talk about something that I kept hidden for a really long time because, again, sometimes for people it's not necessarily stepping from the 9-to-5 job. Perhaps it's about dealing with the darkness within, the things that we're holding on to, the things that we're hiding. I drank way too much for way too long, and for about 7-year stretch, I had about 2 bottles of wine per night. I'm a big dude, but I drank a lot of wine. And I never really tried to address why I was doing that or what was wrong with it. And through these events in the book, I wrestled with this issue. I knew I was drinking too much, and I came to a moment where I focused on what I call a thought golem in the book, this idea that there's this tiny consumer inside of our mind that tells us all of the things that we need. And it's the same exact thing. You had your guest earlier talking in his spoken word about external things kind of feeding us and satiating us. And that's exactly what I was doing. Was I was replacing the old external source of thinking that God was outside of me, was far away. I was replacing that with alcohol, which is frankly more reliable in many senses. But I was taking an external source to salve an internal problem. And I had to confront that issue. And actually, I read a book by Sakyong Mipham, which was really great, called Turning Your Mind into an Ally. And also I read the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And in dealing with some collapses and failures, I had to become dead to certain things. I had to die to my consumer mind. And that's not to say that now I'm, some perfect person who never is greedy or wants more than what they deserve or ought to have or something like that. But just to say that it was out of control. And a lot of people are run over completely by their own desires, and they don't let anything get in the way of their desires. They don't let their relationships do that. They don't let, all kinds of things. And for me, for a period of time, I had to confront my drinking problem. And there's a moment where I'm heartbroken at the time, and I just am. I just go through this situation where I almost can see this creature that is inside of me, this kind of thought golem that's made up of all of my ideas, all of the caricatures of people in my life who've said bad things about me, all of my own things about my own failures. It all kind of balled into one thing, and it was the thing that was fueling my desire to drink so much. And I went through a confrontation with that. It's an internal struggle, and I did my best to describe that in the book in detail about how it just it tore away at me. And if I can find a little tiny spot.
Yeah, please, absolutely. And I think just for the listeners, what you're talking about, in my own terms, addiction, I know myself that I'm an addict. I have an addictive personality. I've been through AA, through NA. I've had 8.5 years sobriety at different points in my life, 4 years and 4.5. I mean, I have that internal struggle myself, and I think everybody on this planet has that internal struggle, whether they turn to alcohol, drugs, whatever it is, sex. Someone turns to anything to get themselves out of feeling the way they're feeling inside. So what you're talking about, I think me and everyone else can relate to, Gabriel.
Yeah. Can I give you a short little reading?
Absolutely. Begin whenever.
All right. So I say, I was alone at my parents' place and was very lonely, but the words of Sakyong Mipham were marching like an army toward my thought golem, and there would be a confrontation in the red flood of wine. The drink tasted sour, and so I drank more to kill the taste. The bottle of red wine was empty. I sat in my room and tried just to lay there in stillness, but the golem knew his kingdom in the caverns of my mind was in jeopardy, and he would not let me go. My loneliness was crushing me, telling me what a piece of shit I was, that I'd failed my children, that I'd failed my marriages, and that I would fail at getting my life back in order. I would never know peace, and I was always going to be a piece of shit that people secretly reviled. I was thought a thief, a loser, a druggie, a drunk, a deadbeat, a lost cause, a moron, and a total waste of skin. I walked to the bar in the game room and reached for the unopened bottle of vodka, unscrewed it, and looked in the mirror as the thin, hollow soul of a man looked back at me, starved in a desert of his own making and howling like a hungry ghost. I'm an alcoholic. I took a long, hard pull on that bottle of vodka, gagging down an eighth of it, wincing as the warm, uneasy agent of my glory and grief washed over my golem, bathing him in the sweet, hot nectar of my failure and shame. I carefully placed the bottle back on the shelf and walked to my bed. I turned out the lights and watched the golem swim around in my thoughts, spitting and cursing the utter folly of my existence. When I woke up, I decided I was done drinking. Day after day came, and I refrained from offers to drink. I spent time building things with my brother and trying to be present, not allowing the golem his prized meals of fear and hope. I watched with sadistic pride as he starved, because every day that I didn't drink was a day that he lost. It was a little life where I'd experienced so many little deaths. So.
Wow, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I know that's coming from a real place, Gabriel, that many people and listeners can relate to. those times when we just feel just like you've explained, desperate and just solitude and alone, and no one understands. And there's so many of us like that out there. I think everybody in their own way at some point feels like that. Even the richest people in the world feel like that. Money doesn't buy feelings. Money doesn't buy internal struggles with yourself. Money may take away for a little bit the internal struggles and get your mind off of it, but that internal struggle that you were talking about and explaining is something that you and I and many others have faced. And by facing those internal struggles, you have now turned that coin around and are doing all the amazing things you're doing. Being an author of 4 books, writing for Vice News, writing for Reality Sandwich, through my internal struggles of addiction, I'm now on the radio with a successful radio show, bringing, truth to millions of people over the world. I mean, those are the struggles we've gone through and came out the other side of the tunnel, and look at what we're doing now. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's amazing. It's like, and that is the message that I'm feeling that you're getting across through your book, and it's very, very exciting. If you can talk a little bit more about, Gabriel, some of the future projects and stuff you're working on. Where do you see this book taking you? Are you doing a book tour? Where can people see some of your articles? Give us some future outlooks and events that are coming up, if you would, please.
Sure. Well, actually, I just got started. I have a new agent. I feel like Hank Moody or something from Californication. So I want to give a shout out to Jesse Lee. He's my agent at
Jesse Lee
at High Road Publicity, and he and I are working on a lot of great new stuff to continue to spread the word about the Hermit. And aside from the book, I'm almost finished here with my master's degree at the University of Washington, and I'm working on talking about the psychedelic perspective. Actually, the perspective that people have who have gone through a psychedelic experience, and how within the humanities, as actually like what they call a theoretical framework, you can point the psychedelic lens on any particular thing in society and use it as a critique or a commentary. So just like a Marxist could say, look at the way that the capitalist system is working, or a feminist could say, look at the way that women are portrayed in the media. The psychedelic lens can have its own particular slant. And so I'm using the language. I'm going through and observing the language of people like Terence McKenna, Hunter S. Thompson, and Aldous Huxley, and many others to establish that as an actual theoretical framework. And if that can be done, what we're going to see is in the humanities, we're going to have people who can take that perspective and use it in academia. And so this is a very important benchmark if we can pull it off. And so that's what I'm working on, aside from the telling of this tale. So lots of things to be excited about, and it's only onward and upward from here.
Now, I also just want to give out your websites. We have a few minutes left. You have GabrielDRoberts.com is one of them, where people can find information about your bio and stuff like that. And you also have your new website, which is readthehermit.com, where people can find out more about your book. And you're also a writer for Reality Sandwich, for Vice, for Disinfo. So I'm sure if people just Google your name, they can pull up many articles and different blogs that you've written, correct?
Yes, and if anyone goes to readthehermit.com, you'll see right on that front page 2 options that you can go to my main website, or you can go directly to pick up a copy of the book. But also below, you can connect to me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. All of my social media and even email and all of that stuff is right there. So anyone can contact me there, and I encourage people to follow me. I always have lively conversations on Facebook and Twitter, and I share often. So go to readthehermit.com, find out more about the book. There's plenty of videos and information, my biography, all of those things are readily available there, and links to Reality Sandwich and Vice and Disinfo and all of that as well.
And before we go, Gabriel, if you would talk a little bit about Reality Sandwich, Vice, Disinfo, what's the importance of these media outlets? I know the answer, but I'd like to hear it in your terms. Why is it important for people to read Disinfo, Reality Sandwich? What do you say about the knowledge, the information that's put out there on these different networks that you're taking part of with writing articles?
Okay. Well, I would say that Reality Sandwich is the most important place online for thoughtful discussion in regard to psychedelics, the psychedelic experience, and the healing effects that this has on people's physiology, on their mentality, on their outlook. Disinfo.com is good because it takes real world articles and it discusses them. There's a lot of really thoughtful writers on disinfo.com. So it takes everyday stories, news stories, and provides commentary on them. It also highlights a lot of information that is normally not discussed. And there's a lot of point and counterpoint, probably more so than with Reality Sandwich. Disinfo has very lively conversations in the message boards and things like that. And there's a lot of really smart people who have a point and counterpoint, because a lot of times we get lost in the weeds, and sometimes our beliefs take over our sensibility and our logic and our reason. And so it's very good for us to test anything that we have that we believe in and put that to the test, because truth is immovable. And if that's really the case, then the truths that we stand by will stand up to scrutiny. And this is something that's very important. And I think it's one of the benchmarks of disinfo.com is that those sort of things, even if they put up something that you may not agree with, or you do or don't, there's going to be a lively discussion there. And of course, Vice is really good because they take information and news stories and they go places where other people aren't going. A lot of the news now has been filtered through so many other filters that you don't really get much of the real story. And Vice is really good about actually having people on the ground, people going strange places and going into situations that are frankly dangerous and weird, and coming out of them and telling a different version of the story than what you often hear. And they do a good job of having mass appeal. They'll just as quickly have some weird article about, a guy who ate 1,000 donuts or something. You know what I mean? And so because of that, they speak to a broader audience. And really, a lot of the things in media now, with these three, you can represent the challenge that comes when you're trying to challenge hearts and minds, is that you have to find something that appeals to the sensibility of the everyday person, as well as challenging their preset notions of how the world works. And it's not always easy, as I'm sure you know. But I think that these three do a good job of that.
That's great. And I just want to nail home Vice Media. I love Vice Media. I think all media should be like that, where it's user reported, not like a CNN or Fox where there's editors and this one and they twist the stories and retell and they read stuff off prompters. Vice, I love it because they're front lines. They're there. They're on the scenes. They're like, hey, we're chilling with ISIS, and this is what's going on. Hey, we're chilling with Saddam Hussein. And this, they're front lines. Like, you can't dispute or argue or change the story when you're reporting live with the people at the scene. It's like the realest news you can get to me is being right there on the scene in real time. It doesn't get any more real than that. And I wish all news services were like that, localized news services. So, excellent work, Gabriel. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And everyone, please check out Gabriel's new book and also his site, GabrielDRoberts.com. And we'll definitely have you back on soon, Gabriel. You have an amazing week, and thank you for your work and service.
Cheers.
Have a great day. You're listening to Star Seed Radio.